Welcome to the This Mum Loves Tech podcast, the go-to show for female business owners who want to simplify tech and get the support they need to grow their online businesses with confidence. I'm Nicola Walsh, your podcast host. I'm also a mum to two cheeky boys and I love tech, so you don't have to. I'm here to share actionable tips, tools and strategies that will help you streamline your business and make the tech work for you. So whether you're watching after the kids have gone to bed or listening while on the school run, let's dive into today's episode and make tech that little bit easier. Hello everyone and welcome to another episode of This Mum Loves Tech. I'm very excited for today's episode because I put an ask out across the This Mum Loves Tech community for questions that you would like to ask me for this episode. So tomorrow is my birthday and I am go big on birthdays, love a celebration, and I wanted to invite as many of the members of the community, the wonderful ladies in the community, to come and ask their questions so they can also feature a little bit on the podcast. And so you guys can all find out a little bit about me and get your questions answered. So yeah, I've got a whole host of brilliant questions. I've tried to kind of put them together so they're sort of all themed. But yeah, we'll see how this goes. And if this episode, everyone enjoys it, then I'll definitely be doing some more kind of Ask Me Anything style episodes in the future. Also, talking about my birthday, I'm currently running a birthday bonus week. Now, you have missed Monday's special offer, but Tuesday's one is available till the end of today. And then there's going to be a new one for every day for the rest of this week. So if you want to find out what these offers are, they are exclusive to anyone who is on my email list. So there's a link in the show notes. You can get on my email list for this birthday bonus week and start receiving the emails. And I'm so glad that you are here to share in part the celebrations with me. So let's get cracking with the first question. So the first question comes from Dawn from Simply Mind Games. And she's asked me, how did you get started in the business that you're doing now? Now, I have got a whole episode, which is episode 3 of the podcast, that goes through my whole kind of backstory. But what I thought I'd focus on for answering this question is why tech? So I actually started out with Instagram and Pinterest and doing kind of management for people and strategies for people and stuff like that. But Instagram is so fast paced. And I know tech is as well to a degree, like it's always changing, but there was so much change on Instagram and I just couldn't keep up with that. But I still like the idea of constantly learning. And so when I realized that I do pick up the tech tools faster than other people necessarily do, and I also have a way of explaining things in a clear and simple manner, that means that people can get how these tools work. That's when I was really like, hang on, I think there is something here. And the more that I started explaining things to people, especially when it came to the whole domain thing around February last year, I mentioned on the episode 3 of the podcast, that was really the turning point for me, because it was something that I just did. And then I started doing for clients because I had to do it. And then the more people that I found out that were really struggling with this, I was like, oh, okay, this is something that I can help people do. And I enjoy doing as well. Like seeing someone join a call and being like so stressed with whatever the tech is not doing, or they want it to do and they can't get it to do. And then hopefully the intention being by the end of the call or the end of even in the Q&As for the membership, their whole face just changes because they've now got it sorted and they can just move on. Because yeah, tech should not be holding us back. So I hope that answers your question, Dawn. But yeah, that's kind of the reason really why I got started with This Mum Loves Tech. So the next question is from Karen from Intention and Glow. And she asked me, what is the one thing you wish everyone knew when starting their business? And that's a great question. And as soon as I saw this, the phrase that came to my mind is done is better than perfect. When I heard it, but it wasn't until I really embraced it that things really started to change for me. And, you know, perfectionism was something that really did hold me back. But I realized that trying to get something perfect and then finding out it was the wrong thing anyway just wasted so much of my time. And when you have small children or just anything else going on in life, looking after other people or trying to fit this in around another job, you don't have time to waste like that. So it's better to just get something done, get something imperfectly done out into the world and see if people react to it, respond to it, engage with it, than trying to create this perfect thing and then no one wants it anyway. So yeah, done is better than perfect will always be something that I wish people knew when they were starting. Just get something done, get something out there, even if it's a bit messy, and then you can always perfect it as time goes on. Yeah, so I hope that answered your question, Karen. So the next question is from Karishma from Art Dubba, and she said, what are tech must-haves for starting a business? And that kind of also leads on to Amy's question. So Amy is from Mindwise, and her question was, if you were to pick 3 things to tackle on the tech front first, what would they be? So I think these 2 questions go really nicely together, because I could highlight 3 things that I would tackle and that would be must-haves. And they would be buying a domain name, but not stressing over buying a domain name. Just use your name and what it is you do, and just get one secured, because that then opens up the gateway to everything else. Setting up that professional email address, and think about, like, so many people I see have set up free @Gmail email accounts, or ones that come with their domain name, and then when it comes to wanting to do more with it, so then you get into this bit of a pickle of having to move all these things over and, combine different accounts together. So I would say, if you can, invest in a professional email address, and then just choose if you do prefer Gmail or Microsoft, because they come with all the other stuff. You get things like, Google Meet to take meetings with clients if you're going down the Google route, or Teams for Microsoft, so you can do your calls in there. So then you don't need a Zoom subscription. And then you get things like your calendars, so you can organize your time, the drive to store your work. So it's not just about an email address, it's all the other things that come with it. And then the third piece of tech that I would get set up is your email marketing platform, because although social media is a great way to get new people to discover you through posting and things, we don't own our social media, and your accounts can go down, things can get accidentally deleted, you can lose access to something, and then you've got no way of contacting your clients. So if you can get that email marketing set up, you've got that kind of then database of clients there, or not even clients, just contacts that you can then keep in contact with. And then if something was to happen with one of your platforms, you can then let your people on your email list know, don't use this account, or this account has been hacked, or whatever. Whereas if you were just on the social media and all of a sudden you disappeared, everyone would be like, oh, what's going on here? So yeah. So in answer to those 2 questions, I would say my tech must-haves, and the 3 things that I would pick to tackle first, is buying a domain name, setting up a professional email address, and getting your email marketing going. And then once you've got that set up, because some of that does get a bit techy, especially when it comes to doing that domain authentication part, but like once that's then all set up, you can start growing your audiences. You've got somewhere to send them. You've got things like, if you become a guest on a podcast, you can tell people to download, to join your email list, and all that kind of stuff. It just opens up that whole other world to you. But they're definitely things that I would, from a tech point of view, look at getting started first. So yeah, I hope, Karishma and Amy, that has answered your questions, and they worked to put those 2 together, because I think they kind of rolled into each other quite nicely there. So the next question is from Rosaleen Heard Wellbeing, and she has asked me, what is the easiest techie thing to do that's made the most impact on your business? And I would say that has been sorting out automated bookings. So my diary changes week to week depending on what the boys do, what other things we've got going on as a family, what days I've got childcare for. So I find it really hard or I did find it really hard before I had an automated booking system, getting people booked in for calls, because I was constantly like, oh, hold on a minute, let me just check. What can I do this day? Oh no, I've got this, thing booked in. Whereas by having, and I use TidyCal for this now, and I originally started with Calendly, and there's a whole episode on the podcast, episode 19, where I go through about TidyCal and where I changed from Calendly. But for me, it made such an impact because I could literally, if someone was interested in talking to me, I could just send them a link and then they could just book in and they could see when I'm available. And it just meant that, especially because there'd often be a delay between me sending a message, because it might be that, you know, I've sent it, replied to someone quite quickly when I was like, before I went on the school run, and then there might be this whole gap where I can't communicate with them again. And I wouldn't want people to forget about the messages that we've been going back and forth. Whereas if they've got that link there and they can just book in, then it just makes it so much easier. And I've had it before where, you know, sometimes people have booked in, you know, quite a while after we've spoken. So maybe I've sent them an email and been like, here's the link to book a call. And maybe it's been a few days and then they've booked in, you know, because they've got to it when they were ready as well. So I just think it's simple to set up. It just connects to your calendar and that kind of does all the hard work for you. It works out when you're free. And by using something like TidyCal, it's really cost effective. I think at the moment it's about £20 and that's it for life. So it's a really easy and low cost way of making quite a big impact on your business and saving you so much time to get those calls booked in. So yes, Rosaleen, I hope that answers your question. So the next question is from Charlie from Virtual Assistant Wiz. And she wants to know, what is one tech tool app that I couldn't live without in my business and why? I've already mentioned quite a few of the tools that I use, so I wanted to pick a different one. So I'm going to go with Canva. And that's because there is so much you can do with it. I use it for doing my social media posts. They've now recently made quite a big upgrade to their video editing side of it. So now when I'm doing reels, especially if I'm taking clips from the podcast, I can just put this video, clip the bit that I want for the podcast, add some really cool subtitles. They've got loads of different effects now where you can highlight different words and all that kind of stuff, all within Canva. I can create gifts for Father's Day recently, and June is quite busy for birthdays in our family as well. So I've been making gifts for family on there, sort of for all my online courses, all the visuals for that, the presentations that I do in the monthly masterclasses, they're all created in Canva. And it's just great to have that there all in one place. And it, like I said, it can do so much stuff. So I definitely think my business would be very different. And obviously, having my design background, for those of you that have listened to the episode about my story, you know, I come from a graphic design background. I used to design children's books. And so I use all the Adobe suite, you know, Photoshop, Illustrator and all that kind of thing. But you always had to go from kind of one of them to another to kind of get the most bits out of it. And there are definitely certain things within Canva that Adobe obviously still does much more professional level, like designing logos and doing really detailed cutouts of things. But for the most part, Canva does it all in one place. It just makes it easier. I can access it from anywhere, so I can be on my laptop. I switch often from my desktop computer in my office because we've converted the smallest room into my office. I've got a big computer screen there. I'll then flick to my laptop if I'm maybe working in the evening because I don't want to disturb the boys. Maybe I'm trying to add some photos from my phone. And it's just really easy to flick between all those different systems and I can access it wherever I want to. So yeah, I would say that Canva is definitely one of the tech tools that I could not run my business without. So thank you very much for that question, Charlie. So the next one is from Kim from Wessex Wise Woman. And that is, what's the biggest lesson you've learned about handling tech hiccups or unexpected chaos? And how do you keep calm and carry on when things go wrong behind the scenes? And she asked this because she's a breathwork coach, so she knows how much steady breath can help in these moments. And I think what I would say is that tech can go wrong, and it can go wrong quite frequently. And I think if I got annoyed or upset at every time it did go wrong, I would be a permanent state of annoyance, really. And sometimes with tech, it is just the fact that something's going funny with the tool, and actually stepping away from it and coming back to it again a bit later the thing that was going wrong would have fixed itself. And so often I get ladies, especially when they come to the Q&A calls for the membership, and they'll be like, when I tried to do this, it didn't work. And I fully believe them that when they try to do it, it just wouldn't do it. And then all of a sudden they're on a call with me, and maybe it's a couple of hours later, or it's the next day, and it's now just working. And they may have done exactly all of the right steps the first time, and it's just that the platform was glitching, or something was down, or it just wasn't, they just weren't all connecting together. So that would be my biggest lesson, is to sometimes you do just need to step away and try it again later. And the good old faithful turn it on and off again. You know, I don't know how many times in the IT department you would phone them, and when I was like working at the children's book publishers, and they would just say, have you turned the computer on and off? So yeah, I would say that tech hiccups are going to happen, and it doesn't mean it's your fault. It doesn't mean you've done something wrong. It could be totally the platform problem. So take that break, come back to it again, and it probably will work the next time you try and do it in exactly the same way that you did it the way before. And that's just how tech is. And sometimes we can never explain why one thing works one day and it doesn't another day. And I've just learned to accept that and just have that as part of how it goes. And I think that's why people are always saying to me, how are you so calm with this? And I think it's because I deal with tech every day, and I've seen it happen so many times, and sometimes there really is no explanation why it's not working, and we'll go through all the steps and I'll be like, why is that not doing what it's supposed to do? And it is back to that thing of, if I got upset and got myself worked up about it all the time, I wouldn't be able to either think clearly also about how to maybe approach it in a different way. So yeah, great question, Kim. Breathing definitely helps. And yeah, often my kind of closing thought on that is, often it isn't you, it is the tech, and it's having a bit of a moment. So if we give it its space, we take our space, come back to it when we're both in a better mood, it will usually work for us. So yeah, I hope that helps and answers your question, Kim. So they were all the kind of questions about general tech advice and all this kind of thing. And now we're getting to some of the kind of like platform specific questions and more general about me questions. Yeah, hopefully you found that tech advice helpful. So the next question comes from Lucy from Marsh Farm Yoga. And her question is, when and how do you find the time to write and schedule your emails with your lovely young family? What's the best way you've found to manage your time efficiently? So first of all, I'm not going to lie, it does involve working in the evenings. At the moment, like, there's just not enough hours in the day, especially because I have a short school day. So I tend to try and do all my client work, like my actual client facing work, you know, my membership calls, my course calls, my one-to-one clients during the day, and then leave the kind of admin stuff to the evening. Now, sometimes that goes better planned than others. It depends what kind of night we have with the boys. But I use ClickUp as a kind of organization tool for me. I tried lots of different ones, Trello, Asana, Notion, all that kind of stuff to help me kind of organize my time. But personally, the way that my brain works, I'm very much about a list, and the ClickUp displays things in a list. And what you can set things to do is to repeat. So what I have is, I have my social media and email kind of plan, what platforms I'm posting on, what days I'm going to be sending emails out. And then every time I say that I have either scheduled something or completed it, it creates the same task. That's the word I was looking for, task again the following week. So I'll have, you know, in my Facebook group, I have set themes for each day of what the type of post is. Some of them repeat more frequently than others, so I've kind of set that all up, so then I can just go in and see, like, right, what do I actually need to do for, sometimes it is the next day, sometimes I try and get myself a little bit ahead, but then I'm not worrying too far ahead, if that makes sense. Because I think if you look at too much at once, it can get overwhelming, and you're like, oh my god, like, how am I going to fit all of this in? Whereas, because I know it keeps repeating, I don't have to remember. I've set it up the once. These are all the different systems. You know, I'm going to post on LinkedIn on these days, and Instagram on these days, and I'm going to send emails on this days, and my podcast goes out on that day, and it's all planned into my little schedule thing. I can just see, and you put in the due dates, and you get reminder emails, so I can be like, right, I need to do these things. These is what's on my list for today. And I think that's really helped me keep on top of it all, because I've just, especially if it gets to the evening and I'm like, right, what do I actually need to do that needs to go out tomorrow? I've got these 4 things. And I just get those 4 things done. And then if I have got time to move on to getting myself any further ahead, then I do. But a lot of the time that doesn't happen, if I'm honest. I am doing posts the night before they go out the next day. And I've just accepted that that is how things are at the moment, because at the moment I'm still very much in a creating stage. I'm still very much having to create the content for my courses, record all the videos and all that kind of stuff. But some of that, once it's done, it will be done. And that will free up some of my time to then do other stuff. And then maybe I could get myself a bit further ahead. But I think just kind of breaking it down, what do I actually need to do right now, and not worrying about too much about, well, what else have I got to do like the rest of this week. It's like, right, no, what has got to go out tomorrow? Make sure that happens. And talking specifically about the content of my emails, I do use ChatGPT, not to write them, but to help me put the email together. So I will tell it, this is the story that I want to talk about. This is what happened to me this week or last week or whatever. This is the tech tip that I want to include, because my emails that go out on a Thursday, they include kind of a story that's happened to me in the week, a tech tip, and then maybe something else about a masterclass coming up or something else that's happening. So I will tell it those things, and then it will kind of put it together in an email format for me, and then I'll go and edit it so it sounds more like me, because I never take anything straight off of ChatGPT. But that definitely helps, kind of being like, these are all the things I want to talk about, but can you put it in an order that actually makes sense? Because sometimes your head moves faster and then you need to put it all together. Yeah, so to going back to answering the question, how do I find the time, is I just prioritize on what I need to get done the next day, and I use ClickUp to help me plan that. And then I use ChatGPT to help me with writing the emails, because writing is not my strong point. So use the tools out there that are going to help you. So I hope that answers your question, Lucy. And then Denise's question is, I'm new to Canva, and Denise is from Gingerfish Design, and she's definitely an Adobe girl. So this is where this question has come from. So she is new to Canva and the foldering system is so confusing. How do you organize items so you can find them? So you can put your content into folders within Canva, and they sit in the project section. And then you can do folders within folders. So you could have social media and then all your different platforms in there, or however it is you want to use it. But I must confess, although that is what I do teach people and how they can organize, I often forget that myself. So what I do is I make sure that the names of my files are really clear to me what it is, so that I can then search for them. So if I am doing something for the podcast, I will always have the word podcast in the name of the file. If I'm doing something for Instagram or Facebook or something like that, I'll make sure that is in there. If I'm doing something for my courses or memberships, I'll put the word Thrivecart in there, or Bunny, because that's what I use for my video hosting platform. So then when I'm trying to find a file, I'll just search for that name. I have tried the folder thing, and I just honestly, in all honesty, I forget that it is there, because it is in that separate bit of projects, and I'm on the home screen. I'm like, I just want to find this thing now. So I just make sure that my naming of my files is really, really good. Like if it's a masterclass, I put the name masterclass in there. Sometimes I'll put the month in as well. So if I know I'm looking for January's masterclass, I can put January masterclass in, or normally Jan masterclass, and it will then come up. Yeah, so the main thing I do is I keep the naming of my files really clear, because we're the only ones that really see those file names. Unless you're downloading something for like a lead magnet or a PDF, I would then call it lead magnet so that I can find it. But then when I download it, I would take that name out of the file. Or if you're then going to name the individual pages within your document, then again, it doesn't really matter what that first file name is called. Just make it something that is really rememberable to you, like really obvious what it is, then you can find it. That would be what I would say for that one. So yes, so Denise, hopefully that does sort of answer your question. So I don't really use the folders honestly myself, because I just forget that they're there. What I do instead is use really good file names. So the next question is from Carolyn from Teachers Pay Teachers. And she's asked, what do you think is the best platform for your website when you are new to online selling? So there's lots of ways that you can get started with online selling without having a website. Just wanted to start off by saying that. You've got things like Etsy, Amazon. There's lots of other different kind of third-party sellers you can use. But obviously, they take fees. You don't own that stuff, so you're at the mercy of all of them. So it's always a good idea if you can get your products onto your own website. And probably one of the most popular ones for setting up a product-based website is Shopify. It's kind of purpose-built for selling products, but you have to pay a monthly fee with Shopify. You can't move your website anywhere else. So my website recommendation will always be WordPress, because it's self-hosted. So you've got full control over it. You can move it wherever you want. It's a bit like, I was explaining it to a client the other day. WordPress and self-hosting is a bit like a car and a car insurance. You buy the car and you can then choose who you insure it with. And if it gets more expensive, you can move your insurance provider. And that's what you can do with a self-hosted WordPress website. You buy and build the website, and then you choose who hosts it. And if you don't like the hosting company, you can then move it to another one, which you don't get with any other kind of website builder, that kind of flexibility. You can add to it as much as you want, and the cost for you doesn't go up. You buy the hosting, which normally comes in yearly, or in the case, I use a company called Hostinger. 4 years with them with WooCommerce, which is what you add to a WordPress website to be able to sell, is about £150 for those 4 years. And then you can add as many products as you want. You're not restricted. You can add in payment, so how you want to take payment. You can connect it to your email marketing platform, so you can send emails when someone's purchased something and all that kind of stuff. If you're looking for long-term flexibility, long-term growth, being able to add other pages to your website, have a blog, as well as selling your products, and just basically grow your website as your business grows without worrying about it costing any more or having to add any more things to it or hitting a limit, then WordPress and WooCommerce would be the way to go for that. So I hope that has answered your question, Carolyn. And that was a great question. Nearly at the end of the questions now, just a few more to go. And some of these are great ones. So we're now going to MailerLite specifically. And as you know, I'm a big fan of MailerLite. So Gillian from the Learning Vault is, what's one way you've turned your audience into subscribers using MailerLite and lead magnets? First off, I've had different lead magnets over the years. I think the key is, once you understand the whole lead magnet process of how you set up the tech for it, so setting up the sign up form, setting up the automation, then really you can just keep duplicating that and testing out different ways, because it is all about testing. You may have this idea for a brilliant lead magnet, like freebie, that you think, yes, this is going to help so many people, it's exactly what they're going to need, and then you put it out there and no one signs up for it, no one's interested in it. So actually knowing how to set up the system so you could try again with something different, I would say that's the main way that I have been able to grow my audience, is by testing out what it is that people want and how they will come into my world. You know, I have PDF downloads. I do my free monthly masterclass each month. People can join the birthday bonus week. Like, that is a lead magnet as such, of getting people to join my email list to be able to get the offers. There's so many different ways that you can get people onto your email list. The key is to understand how to set up the lead magnet in the first place, how to make that tech and that automation work. And once you know that, you can keep testing out these different ways. And don't be disheartened as well. I'd say if the first lead magnet doesn't work, it doesn't mean that it's a bad idea. It might just be the wording that you've used or the formatting of it, just people aren't that interested in it. So then you need to maybe do a bit more research on what it is that people do want. Like, ask the people, if you have built up social media already, ask them what it is that they want and they need. And then just, try out a new lead magnet. And like, the first one will never be that great because you learn as you do the first one, you learn or you adapt it, or so just keep experimenting and testing until you find out something that people just can just sign up for. really easily. And then that kind of leads really nicely into Jane's question from Pally and Perth, and that is, what is the most underrated feature of MailerLite and why? So I did have a bit of a think about this when I saw Jane's question. And my answer to this is probably the automations area, because people think when it comes to an automation that it just means sending out a series of emails. But actually, there is so much more that you can do with automation. So, for example, I've got automation set up that will move people between my subscriber groups based on what they do. So if someone cancels my membership, for example, I use Thrivecart. That's my online checkout system. So it's where people buy my membership, and it's also where it's hosted. So it's hosted in Thrivecart Learn. So what happens if someone cancels is I've set it up that they get added to a cancelled membership subscriber group. And then I've simply got an automation set up that says, if someone joins cancelled membership subscriber group, you take them out of current members. So that means that that is automatically happening in the background. I set that up the once, and it means now that if people do decide to leave, they will get taken out of the current membership group, which means they will stop getting the emails about the membership. And then I have the reverse. So I've got my membership set up that you can cancel at any time, and then you can also rejoin at whatever the current rate is when you join. So I've then got another very simple automation set up that says, if someone joins the membership group, because they'll get tagged in it again when they rejoin, take them out of the cancelled one. Because I use MailerLite to kind of help, I tag people as they buy different products or come into my world in different ways. They all get tagged in different groups. So then I can see really clearly by looking at someone's profile how they've come into my world, what products and services they have bought from me, and kind of see their journey just through what groups they're tagged in. And by using that automation, it means that it happens in the background. So I don't have to worry when someone cancels, oh my God, I've got to take them out of my membership group now because I don't want them to get the emails. That all just happens. So yeah, I would say automations, but not just for sending emails, is definitely something that I don't think people are taking advantage of enough. So I hope that answers your question, Jane. And then the final question, I had to leave this one to last because I thought it was brilliant. From Dawn from DLT Visions, and her question is, it's the end of the exam season, what advice would you give to your 16-year-old self based on your life's journey up until now? I mean, what a question to end on. So what I would say is, when I was 16, I didn't really know what I wanted to do. I didn't even really know what I wanted to do, like A-level kind of wise. I kind of picked what I was good at, but I wasn't really sure. I honestly had no idea at 16 what I was going to be doing for a job. And I just chose subjects that I liked and enjoyed. So definitely maths was not one of them, was not something that I was taking into A-levels with me. And I would say that to anyone is just do what you enjoy and think more about where that's going to lead you later, because there's no point, unless you're really clear, like if you know you want to be a doctor and you have to then, focus on certain subjects and certain areas to do that. But, especially during my 20s, I did a lot of traveling. I did a lot of different experiences. I worked in America for a bit. I did 2 summers over in America. And if you told me at 16 that I would be running a business, I would have been like, you what? Because it was never being only my own business, doing what I'm doing now. I mean, let's face it, at 16, what I do now did not exist. It wasn't a job. So I would also say that to my 16-year-old self is, don't worry too much about what is going to happen in the future, because you might end up doing something that you don't even know is a thing right now. Just do what you enjoy. Take experiences that you enjoy and see where life takes you. Like, I thought at 16 I would be married at 25 with 2 kids. That was my goal at 16. And then it turned out that I didn't get married till I was in my early 30s. I had kids mid to late 30s. I'm just about to my birthday tomorrow is I'm going to be celebrating the last year of my 30s before big birthday next year, which I'm very excited about celebrating. Lots of things planned for that. But yeah, like it just, if I'd have stressed too much about where my life was going to go at 16, I would not have enjoyed the journey. So I would definitely say exams are exams. Like, I didn't go to uni. I don't have a degree because I couldn't find anything I would enjoy enough to study for 3 years, to be honest. That was one of the main reasons. And I got a job and I enjoyed earning money. And I was like, you know what, this is going to pay for me to do the things that I want to do, you know, being able to take those trips and have those experiences. And it's only really now that I'm really discovering what it is that I enjoy and what it is I really love, which is helping people with their tech. It gives me great satisfaction to see people overcome their tech barriers, to be able to move things forward in their own business so they can do more of what they love as well, because so many people they're so talented and they're so brilliant at what they do, and just tech just is a barrier for them, and it's just stopping them from helping and serving and doing more great things. So yeah, if I can help them do more great things by sorting out the tech, then I'll be happy with that. So yeah, I hope that answers your question, Dawn. I feel like I've gone off on a bit of a tangent there, but yes, that is definitely what I would tell my 16-year-old self based on my journey to now, is just expect the unexpected, enjoy it, enjoy the journey while you can, and take any opportunity that comes your way. So I hope you've enjoyed this episode, and I have loved getting all these different questions from the community. I love the ladies that are in the This Mum Loves Tech community, whether you are in the Facebook group, on my email list, or on my social media platforms. You've all played a part in bringing this episode to life. I would definitely look at doing another one of these in the future. If you have got any more questions for me, please do come into the This Mum Loves Tech Facebook group and ask your questions there. I'm always happy to answer them. And I hope you will join me for the next episode of This Mum Loves Tech.